Welcome back to Mass Appeal. NBC's Education Nation is a nationally broadcast, in-depth conversation about improving education in America. And one of the topics being discussed is how parents can be sure that their children feel safe and secure. And joining us now with advice is Bill Corbett. He's the author of Love, Limits, and Lessons. It's tricky. It's so often, especially in the news these days, kids and parents, they feel unsafe. But you have some tips. Your first one is to have an escape plan. Now, how does someone concoct an escape plan like this?
Well, it all depends on your house, your home, your apartment. But the object is to help your child quickly identify how they can get out in case of a fire, somebody breaking in, that kind of thing. So when you actually sit down and create the plan and show them, and then you act it out through having them practice it, makes them feel confident, like I can do this. Especially, there's more and more latchkey kids. They get home before the parents do. Parents are working more hours, so you've got to empower your child to be able to keep themselves safe and get out of that house.
And there are always those different scenarios, and those come with different exit plans, so you need to be sure they're briefed on all of them.
That's right. Yeah.
Your next tip is to have emergency numbers posted somewhere.
Well, if something goes wrong, you want your child to be able to call help. And those emergency numbers shouldn't just be police and fire, but it can be relatives, it can be neighbors close by, and have those numbers, because sometimes that just makes kids feel safe that, hey, I can contact anybody I need to if something goes wrong.
And you said something about neighbors. It's important that you have that one neighbor at least, or ideally, a whole army of them, who's the point person for your child, so that they can always feel safe going to someone else.
Yeah, and it's a good idea to get that child, familiar with the neighbor, that they feel comfortable they can go to them if something's wrong, because we can't always be there for a child.
And maybe get a backup neighbor too, just in case,
Right.
The first one's out for the day.
Excellent.
Next one, use a song or something like that so that your kids remember what's important.
When my kids were little, we used to go on long walks in the evenings. We lived in West Springfield, and we used to go down the sidewalk on the evenings, and I would make up rhymes and songs in line with our phone number and our address, and we used to make rhymes out of it, so they would memorize that, because kids love songs and rhymes, and you want them to be able to say where they live and if they're found without their parents.
And especially too, when kids are paranoid, when kids are nervous, when there's an emergency situation, they might shut down.
Yeah.
So if they have a song, you can never forget a song.
Yeah,
it's one of those things that's just stuck in your head. It's always there.
Yeah.
The next one is to take those emergency contact numbers that need to be posted in the home, but you need to post them in other places too, like a child's cell phone.
Remember, more and more kids have cell phones today, and parents want their kids to be able to contact them at any time. I mean, all we do is we have the tragedies that happen in the news where the kids without the parents, they want to be able to contact them. So it's a good idea to put them in the contact list, so they're almost like speed dials, so the child can easily call, because in a tragic situation or a frantic situation, it's hard to remember exactly, so they can press the button and get right to Aunt Jane or to Grandma.
Now, here's a question too. Kids have backpacks, and we talk about abductions and people stealing backpacks. Should you put the numbers in the backpack too, just in case the phone gets stolen, or is that kind of lending itself to someone maybe taking those from your child?
Yeah, it's a
tough situation.
It's a tough situation. Some parents put the name and everything right on the outside of the backpack, but you get somebody, a predator, following them. You can see that information. It's kind of iffy. I don't like to recommend one way or the other, what the parent feels comfortable with, but at least make sure they're in the phone.
Now, your next tip is to teach by example, by using incidents in the news to kind of reinforce your point.
Well, we're always reading the newspaper, or we're seeing a story on TV where something went wrong. It's kids can't get away from that. So use that as a learning opportunity, and ask them what they think happened and that kind of thing. But also examine the story to see what did happen, if there's anything good out of it. Pull good hero stories out of it to help them see how an emergency situation could play out.
So when we see those emergency situations, you're right, it's important to extrapolate them from the news, but then we have to enact them. So how does one go about creating scenarios, like fire drills or things like that?
It's making sure that you incorporate the child into the plan, play them out, put them on paper, act them out, and ask the child what they think of the situation. They might want to say, so what would you have done in that situation? And let them put themselves there.
That's one of your favorite tips that you give to it. It's let the child talk, because more often than not, when you have that open and honest communication, they'll talk, and then you can be constructive back.
Right. When the child has something to say and can contribute to it, they actually learn more and they retain more information.
It's all about supporting them and keeping them safe.
That's right.
It's a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.